Horror Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 371. It is Label Week. It is Wild Eye releasing week. Compliments of Brad, our Saturday reviewer. So, man, awesome week. I am not that familiar with Wild Eye. I think I have one. That's it. This compilation of some cheesy shark movies, Compliments of Wild Eye, I picked up at Walmart for like $5. But you cannot judge Wild Eye based on a simple, quick pickup at Walmart like that. That is for sure. And Chandra's River, or as it is released in the United States as Evil River from 2018 by Marco Rosson, is a perfect example of why we need to start really looking at Wild Eye. And it is a reason why we're doing it across this week, as we've seen with Monday and Tuesday already with both Glenn and Jason. Yes, Jason. Jason said in his review that his appreciation level for Wild Eye is such because it's a company that not only gives low independent filmmakers an opportunity to get their films made, but distributed to a wide audience. And what's there not to like about that? And I'll bring up Glenn a little bit later on in the review, something that he pointed out, which was sort of kind of funny. But anyway, so you have this story here involving just a handful of characters. This movie, as I said, was made for like $8,000 American. It is low independent, but when you compare it to something like Happy Death Day that got like $4.8 million to make, it is superior to that film. I'm just going to say that. I don't care what anyone says. This is a much better film than that thing. Anyways, so basically what you have here is you have a story about Emma. She is a professor, history and folklore, probably women's studies, probably feministic women's studies, because her position initially is one that she wants to go out and visit this site location where a poor peasant girl, back in the early 18th century was both accused and then murdered for being a witch. She completely doesn't get the witch thing. She just assumes this girl was just killed for the sake of killing. And so violence to women and such. And so how she comes into this story is interesting because she has a sort of a predisposed position that will be changed over the course of the film due to the events that she will get sucked into, which is interesting. Now, she has enlisted the help of Julia, who is her tour guide, who's going to take her out to the site. She picks her up at the train station. I'm pretty sure it was a train station. They get home or to the hotel in the morning at 4 a.m. It's her wake-up call. She gets up, gets herself ready, and then Julia comes knocking, and together they go downstairs. And then, of course, Julia breaks the news that they got another person coming, Daniel, who is an inspector journalist of sorts. He's also doing a story on some of the cult-like killings that have been happening in that area of where they're going out to. And so the three will travel out first day. But as they get out there, they're about a mile or so from the location they're getting to, and initially you think it's a tire blown, but then you're led to believe maybe it's a radiator. Something happens and the car breaks down. Julia's calling for help, but as she is, Emma sees these two weird individuals. They're sort of dressed in black and masks and not good guys coming towards them. Before Emma even realizes what happens, she opens her eyes, having been knocked out. She's tied to a tree, Daniel's tied to a tree, and then she sees Daniel tortured and killed before her eyes, and then she is bludgeoned and killed. Then she wakes up, it's 4 a.m. And then you start to realize really quick, this is a Groundhog Day effect. And we've seen this before, right? Not only that movie, but of course Happy Death Day. Even X-Files, their episode Monday about the bank heist, maybe my favorite use of that sort of thing, right? So she wakes up and she knows right off the bat that something's off. They go out again, and she's very quickly piecing things together. And you got to remember, this the runtime isn't that long. I can't remember what it was. So everything feels more compressed. And so you're getting to things much quicker. And so it's not, they didn't really take the time to draw things out. And maybe that's better because the first half of the film feels as though she's been dropped in this funnel effect and as she's dropped, it just narrows itself down and it becomes more claustrophobic and downright creepy and nightmarish at moments. Where the neatest effect of this early on, I think, is the idea when she decides on day 3, I think, to just stay in her room. She won't even leave the room. The horror comes to her and ends up killing her in the room. And she starts to realize every day that begins at 4, this nightmare scenario is not going to let her go. And she'll eventually realize there may be some black magic involved in here. She's caught into some kind of loop that's just going to repeat itself each and every day. And regardless of what she tries to do, there is nothing that she can do to break this thing other than, by the end, taking her own initiative and deciding to meet this thing headlong where she is to meet it, with the hope that she'll get the upper hand, but if not, she'll be sacrificed by this cult. Be either way, the loop will be broken and she will have peace. And so, you know, the road out to that point is interesting and it's kind of fun at the beginning. But then you get to that halfway point, and as you move forward into the second half of the film, it just sort of begins to lose its punch a little bit. But not enough so that doesn't keep you there. And by the time you get to the end and there's a bit of a twist, and when everything is realized and unfolds, I would dare say, man, this was interesting. Now, this is an Italian film, and there are some interesting, vibes, to earlier Italian cinema that are very sort of interesting. It is still $8,000. It is still an independent film. But what they were able to pull off really was quite remarkable, I think, considering how many millions something like Happy Death Day gets and what the final effect is there. Not really anything great. Something Glenn mentioned too with the cover art with his film House on Cuckoo Lane. He spent a few minutes talking about how the cover art, not to get lulled in by it, because the cover art really has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the film. And I would have to say Chandra's River, thematically, it gets across the point, but there's imagery there, and you can IMDb it and see it for yourself. There's imagery there that is, at least thematically, but I would have loved to have seen that imagery in a really creepy way in that film, and for whatever reason, we just didn't get it. So after, it's funny that Glenn had brought that up on Monday. So Wild Eye releasing. One of the things that I realized was there's a lot of Wild Eye releasing stuff on Prime. A lot is on Tubi as well. In fact, everything this week that will be dropped this week can be seen via Prime or Tubi, with the exception of Sunday's film. For whatever reason, I'm not sure how to quite see that one, short of buying it. But Wild Eye is an interesting company because, as Jason said, it's just really cool that they give filmmakers from around the world an opportunity. And I think his film was, an Indonesian film. And so that's kind of cool that these filmmakers get a chance to not just see their work done and completed, but released and distributed for people to be able to check out. And I think that's pretty cool. Another interesting thing is the screenwriter for this film apparently worked on the Cartoon Network Robot Chicken, which is kind of weird, but I just kind of picked that up along the way. Trying to think if there's anything else. The story is pretty interesting. What they do with the story, how they utilize the Groundhog Day effect is really pretty interesting, especially in the early going. I think is the strength of the film. But there's never gives you a reason to bail out of the film at all. Right into the very end. And the very end, while not quite as what I was hoping, it was an interesting twist and an interesting resolution sort of to all that was happening to poor Emma. So I'm trying to think. This film I think this film was awarded 23 film festival awards, which is pretty cool. It's gotten some recognition around the world, which is really super awesome for an independent. I think the last time I did a film like this was The Last House in the Woods. I was not that impressed with the special effects, with the blood and gore. Still, Beato did that too, and I just wasn't impressed. But I was pretty impressed with the blood and gore in this. There's a throat slashing scene that is really pretty cool. Well done. and just the use of blood I thought was really pretty cool. The nightmarish imagery and just the claustrophobicness of the film, and I don't know, I got a real kick. I'm gonna have to say, thank you, Jason, for throwing the title at me. Thank you, Brad, for suggesting we do Wild Eye. I'm gonna pick this movie up at some point, and I may end up, as a result of this week, picking up a few other Wild Eye releases, so we'll have to see. So anyways, I'll leave it at there, and hope you enjoy this week. Each and every day, each reviewer drops something new from Wild Eye. Hopefully this is a new experience for you. Hopefully you're coming into Wild Eye new, and if you've been there for a while, hopefully you'll appreciate some of the thoughts that we have to bring throughout this week. It is October. Enjoy the month. All my hopes and prayers go out to each and every one of you, depending on where you're at. And how COVID is still messing with your day-to-day life. My hopes are there with you, as well as especially I just call out or shout out Will up in Quebec, and it's a lockdown mode again for him, and so we just had a podcast the other night, which was a lot of fun to be with, be part of Lovecraft and several films that we looked at, and a couple great guests, Venom and Don in LA, of course, and Glenn. It was just a great night, but I do shout out to Will, man, just going through a lot up there in Quebec, and as anyone else as well. The only thing else, my Georgia Bulldogs looked absolutely fantastic against Auburn. That was great Saturday night. My Bills are still winning. That's pretty good. So anyways, let this week continue to roll by. Enjoy the reviews as they drop, and the rest of the month as it unfolds before us. As always, go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.